We'll start with that. Okay. Good morning. Last class we did about the biomolecules, and I explained to you what do you mean by biomolecules and why are they called macromolecules. There are 2 points you should know. As the word implies, biomolecules. We are going to do the same chapter, that is biomolecules. Biomolecules, first point is, why are they called so? Because they are automatically in the biological world or in the living organism, living tissue. Biomolecule, simple definition. They came to the conclusion there are macro elements like carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, as well as the salts like NaCl, CO3. All these substances are present in the living as well as non-living world, but carbon was found almost in the living world, and water is the most abundant compound in the living world. These are the two conclusions they came. So they called all these things as a biomolecules. And then you have macromolecule, biomacromolecules. The first definition is for biomolecules. Define what is biomolecules. That is first. The second is macromolecules. Now, why are they called biomacromolecules? You know very well. Now, by dissolving the organic tissue in a particular acid, and then the filtering. Now, these molecules, biomolecules, are of two categories: acid soluble, acid insoluble. Acid solubles are considered, so biomolecules, you are going to the first step: acid soluble, acid soluble, and acid insoluble. Acid insoluble. So acid, as the word tells you, they have taken a hydroxychloride acid and they dissolve in a particular solvent, and particularly is an acid. So acid insoluble and acid soluble. So why, first of all, the main difference between them is the molecular weight. So the molecular weight of this will be 10,000 dalton. Dalton is nothing but dalton or dallion. Some books it will be written as dalton. D is a symbol, is nothing but AMU, atomic mass unit, which you know. So those molecules which weight, molecular weight is more than 10,000 and above, all these are acid insoluble. And those which are below, that is 80 to 800 dallion, are soluble. So what will they do? They can be filtered, but this cannot be filtered, as you know. So when they analyze the filtrate, they will find out all the other chemical components of the filtrate. Now, when they come to the acid insoluble, it will be supernatant, it is remaining on top. So they removed that and found out the chemical compounds present in that. It is a molecular level, so you need not go into the atomic level like a carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen. Combination of this carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen will form the molecules. Those molecules are macromolecules, larger in size, and they are in the present world. So these larger macromolecules, which are present in the living world, the biomolecule macromolecules. Then they found out there are three major macromolecules, mainly carbohydrate, protein. Mainly only these two are macro. Protein molecules are macro. But they added fat also with that. Now the fat, molecular weight of fat is lesser than 800 dallion only. But why do they put it up in that? It is not soluble completely in an acid. Though if the molecular weight is lesser, the molecular according to us, it's about 800 only, 500 to 800 Da only this is. But yet it is insoluble. Why is it insoluble? Now, yet it is insoluble. Acid insoluble. Insoluble in a sense, we mean acid insoluble. Why is it acid insoluble? Why question mark? Now, because they cannot be completely macerized. That is, they cannot be completely broken down to get dissolved. You know very well in chemistry, chemical reaction depends on the state of the matter. If the matter is, the substance is powdered, the reaction will be more because there is a more surface interaction comes. But here, this fat cannot be, Now, these substances they cannot be broken down, completely broken down. So why back again? Why they form the structural? They form structural part of the cell, structural component. They form the structural part of the cell. What do you mean by that? They form the cell membrane of the mitochondria, organelles, endoplasmic reticulum. So when they form the structural part, so when we are dissolving the organic matter, we have to completely smash it, completely smash it out, or break it into a simplest form. Then only you can dissolve in the acid. So when you are breaking it down, a cell is macerized, completely smashed. At that time, the cell components like your endoplasmic reticulum, plasma membrane, covering of the organelles, and the matrix of the present normal ultrastructural organelles, these structures could not be completely broken down because of the presence of fat in them. And even they break down, they form small globular structures. And the fat is not completely melted yet part of the cell, so it remains as small globules, small vesicles. You will say vesicles or globule. Globule, very well, small rounded structure, globules. So these globules and vesicles get remain along with the acid insoluble substances. That is the reason fat is added on with the acid insoluble fraction. So now we are going to do biomolecules and macromolecules. Macromolecules are insoluble in acid, and because of the molecular weight, and fat, those with lesser molecular weight, it is one of the macromolecules. In simple language, in the biomolecular chapter, what are we going to do? We are going to read about carbohydrate, we are going to read about protein, and we are going to read about fat. These are the three large groups. Okay, now this is the first part of the lesson. Now we are going to enter into this carbohydrate, protein, and fat. Another thing they found out, these macromolecules, character. Now when you go to the next part, the character of the macromolecules, Roman letter 2, you take it as. So characters of the macromolecules. Of macromolecules. Macro, I'll write molecule, not moles, molecules. Okay, now these first one, most of them are polymers. They are all polymers. Now, what are the polymers? Smaller, similar unit. Polymer, you should not use the word molecule or atom. You should not say larger molecule formed by smaller molecules, larger atom formed by smaller atom. That's wrong. You must use the word larger unit. Units formed of, this is very important, formed of smaller and similar molecules, similar or dissimilar. Similar, you can say smaller identical units. You cannot use the word identical or even, that is not correct. Smaller, similar units. Smaller, similar units. Similar units. Now these units are called monomer. See, the monomers, when you form a polymer, you can have identical monomers. Then it's called a homopolymer. If you can use, but it should be a monomer, the smallest unit. Now, if it is two different types of monomers combined together, it's a heteropolymer. So, but the idea, the basic principle is what? They are the smallest units. If you want to break them further, you have to break it physically, smallest unit. If you want to break them further, it will become chemically broken. For example, glucose is the smallest unit. And when it is broken down further, it will be oxidized only. Oxidized into CO2, H2O. So the smaller unit is the major, the most of them are polymers. Now the second character, now they enter into the metabolism. They undergo chemical metabolism. Undergo metabolism. So in this case, what is metabolism? So metabolism, if you take metabolism, they undergo chemical changes. Now these chemical changes, they undergo chemical. Metabolism is nothing but chemical change. It is not physical change. What are the chemical changes? It could be a chemical change by oxidation reduction, or hydrylation, dehydration, phosphorylation, or dephosphorylation, hydration. Hydration is different. Hydrolyze. Hydrolyze means add water molecule. And hydration is just add hydrogen, removal of hydrogen, addition of hydrogen. So these chemical reactions, they undergo the metabolism, or they undergo chemical changes. Now these chemical changes has got a definite pathway. These changes have got definite pathway. Now, what do you mean by the definite pathway? If you start the starting material, substratum, it will go in the product 1, it can be product 1, it can be next product 2, it can be product 3, last only end product. So it has got a definite pathway. Now, in each pathway, one is formed from the other. Nothing is just starting from the starting material. This will be the starting material for the next one. This will be a starting material for the third one. So this is the end product. They follow. So it has got a definite pathway, and each intermediate product, these are called intermediate product. Intermediate product. Now these intermediate products can be used in the body. So the intermediate products need not be, it can change into the other one, or it can be converted, it can be used as it is, or it can undergo, always end product need not be. So the P3 third product can become an end product 1, or it can become an end product 2. That means the pathway is changing, like your food chain. One way, another food chain following. Same manner, but it has got a definite pathway. The definite sequence of pathways. At each sequence, you have an intermediate product. This intermediate product could be used or could not be used also. Sometimes this intermediate product could be used, or it can remain as a waste, harmless waste, or it can be a harmful waste. For example, when it remains, the intermediate product remains as a what do you mean by the waste? Waste can be useful, that is harmless, not useful. Waste cannot be useful, harmless, or it can be harmful. What do you mean by harmful? It may lead to a diseased condition. Say, for example, in diabetes, ketonuria, phenylketonuria is a disorder, genetic disorder. So the genetic mostly this harmful waste, these defects which are harmful means they produce some defect. Now the defect may be a disease. Now the disease may be an inborn disease. So in all the metabolic disorders are by this only. That is, the intermediate products are not completely broken to the end product. So the intermediate products accumulate, which creates a diseased condition. You call that as a metabolic disorder. The metabolic disorders, for example, you can say even diabetes is a kind of, but it can a kind of metabolic disorder, or diabetes, this one, phenylketonuria, alkaptonuria, homogenesis, alkaptonuria, tyrosinosis. All these there are a number of metabolic disorders. These metabolic disorders are connected to the metabolism due to the accumulation of the intermediate products which are not finally converted. These intermediate products need not be always harmful. If it is harmless, it will be excreted out of your body. That is what a nitrogenous waste. Nitrogenous wastes are produced by the metabolism of protein, ammonia, urea, uric acid. When they accumulate in the body, it will give a uremia or gout. Or polyuria is not a disease. The intermediate product, when it accumulates, it can form a defective condition. See, diseases are nothing but defective conditions which could be rectified, one type of disease. Another type of disease you are inheriting by birth. That cannot be rectified when I am born with a alkaptonuria or a defect. And I have to live with that. Only you can, by genetical engineering, can prevent another progeny produced from me with a defect. So genetic disorders can never be rectified in the person who has it, who bears it. Do you follow that? So now first, these macrobiomolecules are got very important for the body because they undergo a sort of chemical changes. Now these chemical changes are called metabolism. Now what happens in the metabolism? Metabolism has got a definite pathway. You take any cycle in your plant kingdom. C3 cycle, C4 cycle, and CAM cycle, citric acid cycle, any glycolysis. Now, any metabolic pathway, chemical reaction in your body has got a definite pathway. This is a basic rule, you know that. Any chemical reaction should go in a methodical manner, otherwise, it will flare up. The product, you will not get the product what you expect. So, during metabolic reaction, there are intermediate products. So these substances, each intermediate product is a substratum for the starting material for the next one. The starting next one. So the end product is a final product. In this case, normal metabolism. Normal metabolism, what you start with a substrate or a substance, and you finally end with the end product. The end product, invariably, what will be there? CO2, H2, energy. One of the major end product is what? What is the aim of this metabolic reaction? Energy is released. That is the major use of the chemical reaction. Now these chemical reactions, okay. Now first let's tell me about the chemical reaction. Then we'll go to this. Then we'll go to the other part. So in the definite pathway, the intermediate products can be, if it is not converted to final product, it will accumulate. When these intermediate products accumulate, it can be harmless or harmful. If it is harmless, it can be excreted out. Or it will be harmful when the harmful nature will produce some defect. The defect can be rectifiable and cannot be non-rectifiable. That means the defect can be corrected or it cannot be corrected. If it can be corrected, you call this a diseased condition. If it cannot be corrected, you call this a congenital or genetic disorder. In genetics, metabolic disorder as such, it is there due to the aberration or due to the variation in your genetic composition, genotype. That's another chapter you will be studying separately. Okay. So metabolic disorders which you study in genetics is mainly through the something is wrong with the genotype. So how does the genotype comes into this chemical reaction? What genes have to do with the chemical reaction? When the chemical reaction occurs from one to the other, P1 is changing to P2, P in sense I mean product can be changed to the next one. This is the end product, these are intermediate product. When it is changing P1 to P2, there comes a catalyst, biocatalyst. Normally, when you are chemistry, what you will do, if you are taking a raw material, oxygen preparation, potassium chloride, now you add what is the manganese dioxide. Okay, when you use one of KMNO4 is invariably used as a catalyst. So when you use in chemistry the catalyst, organic, inorganic catalyst. Why do you add catalyst? To increase the rate of reaction. Not the product will not increase. The enzyme will not, the catalyst will not undergo any change. What are catalysts? Chemicals added or catalysts or substances used to enhance the speed of the reaction, chemical reaction. It's not to enhance the product of the chemical reaction. So the catalyst will not change the quantity of the product, neither will it affect the starting material. It will increase only the speed. That is, to convert from P1 to P2, it will have taken 5 minutes, it will finish in 1 minute itself. So only the speed is the criteria. Okay. Now, why that is the speed? Why should we bother about the speed? The rate of reaction. The rate of reaction. That is the word is called rate of reaction. The rate of reaction depends on end product divided by time consumed. Suppose I am producing 10 grams of the end product within 5 seconds. So the rate is 2 seconds per 2 seconds per 1 gram. Rate means always per will be there. Rate is ratio. It's a common sense you should know. When you go to the shop, when you ask the rate of anything, how much is per dozen? How much is from per kg? Per. That means like a fraction. All right. So the rate, why should you bother about the biocatalyst rate of the chemical reaction? It determines the speed of the chemical reaction is determines the amount of the product, end product divided by time taken. Why should you know about the need? What is the aim of this end product? Energy production. You need more energy. Why do you need energy? To carry on all your activities, whether consciously or unconsciously. What do you mean by voluntary or involuntary? Involuntary, like your heart to beat or your systems to work, carry on their function. Voluntary, you know very well, your locomotion and the other voluntary actions. So whether you, any voluntary or involuntary, it needs energy. So you have to produce energy. How will you produce energy? By the chemical reaction. What is the chemical reaction called? Metabolism. The chemical reaction, when producing the energy, what happens? The one substance is broken to the other. You are doing a lot of work. So you have to finish a lot of work. That work, you are completely tired, and before finishing it, you are getting tired out within an hour or half an hour. That means what? Energy supply is very less. Imagine the people who are involved in the muscular labor. They have to go carry on the load for a day. That fellow cannot even work for an hour. How will he work for a day? That means what? Energy is not available in his body. So the rate of amount of energy produced depends on the rate. So the rate depends on the time taken. The time or the speed depends on the catalyst. So the catalyst is the one needed to enhance the speed of the reaction so that the energy production will be quicker to meet your need. That's common sense, okay? Now, so what are the, in this case, in the biological world, the enzymes are used as a biocatalyst. So in between here, between these steps, you have got the, what is the thing involved is the enzyme 1, enzyme 2, enzyme 3. So why can I write enzyme 1, 2, 3 in all the cases? Because enzymes are specific. They can only act on a particular substance. The enzyme which acts on a product 1 cannot act on product 2. The enzyme which acts on a product 3 won't act on P2. So enzymes are specific. For specific chemical reaction, you need a specific enzyme. You understand? So enzymes are involved. Now, how are these enzymes? They are nothing but proteins. So now, see, follow like this: metabolic change. What is metabolic change? Is nothing but chemical reaction. Chemical reaction. The chemical reaction needs a catalyst. Catalyst to speed up the reaction. Now, the catalysts are nothing but enzymes. Enzymes are nothing but proteins. Most of them. The proteins are actually controlled by the gene or code. So, genes only controlling the production of the protein. That protein can become an enzyme. That enzyme will catalyze the chemical reaction. That chemical reaction is known as a metabolic change. So, during the chemical reaction, what happens? Now, energy is released. This energy is used. So, before chemical reaction, you have intermediate product. You have got intermediate cut on here. Now, during this thing, there is a intermediate product comes. Finally, energy. So these intermediate products can be harmless or harmful. They have to be, if it is harmless, they can be sent out of your body, like nitrogenous waste. Nitrogenous waste, finally they should be converted. What happens, amino acid which you consume? Amino acid is either it is completely broken down, and finally the amino group and carboxyl group separate, and then carbon dioxide, water and energy, or these amino acids can be converted into again triglyceride and become into glucose. That's what in the gluconeogenesis, which you will study in the endocrine chapter. Glucose, insulin, thyroid and parathyroid, they control the glucose level in the blood, hyperglycemic and hypoglycemic. Now, how the blood sugar level increases? 3 ways blood sugar level can increase. One is sugar, that is glucose is increasing in the blood. There are 3 ways glucose is put into the blood in your body, not from outside in your food. One is the stored glycogen will be converted into glucose. So more glucose get into the blood from the storehouse. That is in the liver. Second is the amino acid, fatty acids, and excess of glucose which you are consumed. As it is glucose, instead of glucose is converted into glycogen. And glycogen is converted to glucose. Another one is from the food. You are taken fluid, glucose. It is not absorbed by your blood. The uptake of the glucose is it is in the blood. From the blood, cell has to take it and use the glucose. Cell is not taking the glucose from your blood, and it is not breaking. The usage is less. So as a result, the blood carries more glucose. Thirdly, how the glucose level in the blood will increase. Now, the amino acid and fatty acids will be converted into glucose. That is called gluconeogenesis. Converting glycogen to glucose is glycogenolysis. Amino acid and fatty acid will go gluconeogenesis. Then uptake from your digestive system is less. Now, these 3 factors increase the blood sugar. Now, that is what you mean by diabetes mellitus. So, blood sugar level increases. Why? From your, you know, the average amount of these glucose substances are in an optimum level in your blood. If you see in your book, it will be 4 grams and it is given in a gram per milliliter, mole per milliliter. So the optimum level increases. That is a defective condition, diabetes. So you can, diabetes is what has happened now? The metabolic product, why should the glucose is an intermediate product in this? Because glucose has to be completely oxidized to CO2 H2O to produce energy, but it's not oxidized. So it is still remaining as an intermediate product, glucose in your blood. Now that's an intermediate product accumulating, above the average level and above the average level, so it is a diseased condition. You call that as a diabetes. And when this disease condition can be to some extent rectified or bad, you can never cure diabetes. You can only alter. You can keep your glucose level in a control. Do you follow that? That is why they say again, back again, the hormone enzymes are the catalysts and the enzymes are under control of the genotype. So now, from this, I'm switching it over to the another part of your lesson, that is the biomolecules they undergo metabolism. What do you mean by that? They undergo chemical reaction. Now, these chemical reaction metabolism has got a definite pathway. And in each pathway, you have got a product 1, product 2, product 3, and the end product. You're starting on an end product. Now, when you change, the other ones are the intermediate products. The intermediate products should be removed. So these intermediate products should end in the end product. Now, what is the end product? Main of the end product is not the chemical change, energy released. Why do you need energy? You need energy for the voluntary as well as involuntary functioning of your body. So when these intermediate products are not reaching the end product stage, when they get accumulated, they may be harmless or harmful. When they are harmless, they can be automatically released. Say, for example, CO2 is an end product actually. The intermediate product, harmless intermediate product, say ammonia, urea, they will be converted, they can be excreted in that form itself. Suppose some are harmful in a sense, it will lead to diseased condition. Now, these diseased or defective condition can be rectifiable or it cannot be cured, curable or uncurable. If it is curable, say for example, glucose is an intermediate product. How it comes? It comes from the food which you eat, carbohydrate, any form of rice, dal, and all the root items. Whatever rice is, we are mainly Asians are rice oriented. So these carbohydrates should be broken down. So glucose is those final end of the glucose. Glucose is not the end product of the breaking of a carbohydrate. Carbohydrate becoming glucose is a physical change, not a chemical change. The larger unit is converted into smaller unit. Glucose undergoing the chemical change only your citric acid cycle where it is produced CO2 H2O. You know very well, even in citric acid cycle, you have got a 9 steps in between. All these are intermediate product. Each product is converted into the other one. So if it gets accumulated, simple, we'll take glucose as a product. If it gets accumulated in the blood, that gives you a disease condition, you call this diabetes. Diabetes can be to some extent treated, it cannot be cured completely, absolutely. Now, another one, intermediate product, there is ketones, alpha ketones. There's a defect called ketonuria. And another one is alkaptonuria. Now that is due to the metabolism of the amino acid. Intermediate product is called homogenesic acid that is accumulates in the blood in the body without being converted to CO to H2 end product. This homogenesic acid produces another defective condition called alkaptonuria. What is the symptom? The urine of the individual will be, as soon as they pass the urine outside exposed atmosphere, it will become black urine. Phenyl ketone, you know very well, that's one of the symptom of your keto bodies in the urine is another symptom of your diabetes. And the phenylketonuria, another one. All these are metabolism of amino acid metabolism, the metabolites. What are the metabolites? Protein, fat, and carbohydrate. So the metabolism of these chemical changes of the metabolites have a definite path and they have a definite steps and an end product. Aim of the chemical changes produce energy. Now, when you are breaking that and producing energy, it's called catabolism. Same time, what will happen to the energy? Every time you are producing lot of energy, you are not utilizing it, using it, it has to be stored. Then it is anabolic. How are you storing? Energy is nothing but a force. So it can only form a bond. Bond, particularly the chemical called adenosine. Adenosine. Now, see for example. Okay. Now the energy breaking down to produce energy is it's called catabolism. When the energy is stored, you call that as anabolism. Any constructive process is called anabolism. How it is stored? Energy is an abstract term. It's a force. So you cannot convert an energy or a force into a particle and keep it in a box. So you have to store it in a bond form, in a chemical bond. The chemical bonds carry the energy. So the energy is stored, the energy released due to the chemical reaction is stored as a bond in all the chemicals in your body. So one of the most important chemical is what? ADP, AMP. That is adenosine connected with one phosphate. So adenosine, if I take adenosine like this, connect one phosphate, this is AMP. Then another one will be adenosine. Another, if I attach one more ADP, just attach one more ATP. So this is called ATP is called the energy. That is the ATP is called the energy bank or energy cache of your body. Energy cache of your body. Do you understand that? So the metabolism, the metabolites. When you talk about the polymer, they undergo the chemical change. This chemical change is called metabolism. This metabolism has got a definite path, and there are so many. In each step, you have got an intermediate product. The final aim of the path is to produce energy. Why do you need energy? To carry on the living body, to survival of the living body, organic, inorganic work. I'm sorry, voluntary or involuntary work. So this energy which is produced by breaking down pathway chemical reaction is called catabolism, and constructive reaction is called anabolism. What is meant by constructive? The energy produced is stored. It is not used up. It is stored in the form of ATP. So we call that an anabolic reaction. So metabolism as a whole is a chemical changes. It has got two. One is it has got two stages: catabolism and anabolism. Anabolism. So we are still in the macromolecules. Why did I pull you out the macromolecule? What are the importance of these biomacromolecules? Now, structurally, they are all polymer. We will be studying about the structure, first part. Second part, we will study about their use. Now, what is the use of the biomolecules? They involve in the chemical reaction in the body that is called metabolism. So the metabolism can be constructive or destructive. All right, and so now you summarize all these points. Now, if I have to, so now we are the characters of the biomacromolecules. Macromolecules. All right. One is structurally they are polymers. So this is one part we will be dealing. What are they? How do they form polymers? What are the different? Only names, different types of polymers. And polymers means they are made up of monomers. So in this lesson, first when we study first part, we will be studying about the macromolecule structure, physical structure. When you study about the physical structure of the physical property of the metabolites or macromolecules, you will study about the physical character means what their structure. When you study about the structure, what are they made up of? What are the because being a monomer, being a polymers, they are not smaller molecules. These molecules, biomacromolecules, they are called. So the macromolecules will be made up of smaller molecules. These smaller molecules are known as the monomers. So you will completely study about the monomers and what are the biomolecules. What are they? They are nothing but carbohydrate. There are three hydrates. Then second one is proteins. Third one is fat. Now you know very well fat is not a macromolecule, it's a micro, but it is not soluble in the acid because it gets into the building up of the cell, structural part of the cell, more than the cytoplasm of the cell or nucleoplasm, forming the nuclear membrane, cytoplasmic membrane, membranes of all the fibers content, and all the membranes of the organelles. So it cannot be completely broken down. It forms small vesicles, like small bits and pieces, which cannot be dissolved in the acid and filtered. So though fat is a micromolecule, according to the weight, it is included as a macromolecule because of insolubility in the acid. So first part of the lesson, we will study being a polymer, what are the monomers of carbohydrate, and what are the different types of polymers formed by the monomers. That's one category there. Then we will study about the protein, what are the monomers of protein amino acids, and what are the different categories of amino acids, and a few polymers formed by them. Similarly, you will study of the fat, what are the fat molecules, the largest molecule, what are the composition of the fat molecules, and what are the monomers of it, how do these fat molecules form. And during that, how will the monomers will be connected by a bonding. So you will study about the different bonds formed in the carbohydrate, bonds in the amino acid, bond in the fat. That is about the structural part of the macromolecules. Now, when you come to the functional part of the macromolecules, what will say metabolism? Metabolism is a chemical change. That's a functional part. Chemical changes. Now, these chemical changes can be anabolic or catabolic. Anabolic means constructive. Anabolic or catabolic means destructive. Catabolic means destructive. That is one. It is breaking down and building a process and building and building a process. Now, this is breaking down. Breaking down process. Anabolic breaking down. Now, during this, what we studied about this anabolic this chemical reaction has got a definite pathway, and each pathway, the intermediate products are there. Final process, it has a definite pathway. What are the points you should know? Definite path. Then intermediate product. Intermediate product. Product. Intermediate products will lead to accumulation. Harmless. Harmless. It can be harmful. Harmful. Harmful in the sense it may lead to a diseased condition. Diseased, incurable disease, or curable, incurable. Incurable diseases, you call that as metabolic disorder, genetic disorder. Genetic disorder. Disorder. Okay? Now, second, third point, what is, it has got another one. It is used, enhanced by the speed. Now, before you go to the speed, end product. What is the end product? End product is energy. End product is energy. Energy. Energy stored in the bond. In bond. Where? In ATP. Adenosine plus type of AMP or ATP or ATP. AMP, ATP. So it can be in the form of AMP or ADP or ATP. That is adenine and phosphate radical. So the end product energy is stored. The intermediate product that happens. Then it needs a catalyst. What are the catalysts? Catalysts are nothing but enzymes. Enzymes are nothing but protein. Proteins are nothing but amino acids. So now this is the regarding the metabolism. And another point you should know in the metabolism. Now the metabolism starts with the starting material. The starting material is a substrate. The substance which is starting the chemical reaction. Now that chemical reaction, metabolite, should be an optimum level in your blood. That is the amount of glucose. All the chemicals have got an optimum level in your blood. Now this optimum level will increase or decrease when the it is not completely broken down or incompletely broken down. That's another point you should know. So in the metabolism, the starting material. The next point about the metabolism alone, please. Now this is A, anabolism and catabolism. B, it has got a definite pathway. C, it has got intermediate product which cannot be accumulated. Now D is an end product. End product is E, catalyst. Catalyst lead to the catalyst and mainly EF is enzyme. Now, yeah, and another point, G, I'll go to the G, rate of metabolism. Now, rate of change, rate of the change, chemical change or metabolism is equal to the amount of the final product, end product. Now, this is one of the questions they need per time, unit time. That is gram per or millimole per liter or gram per minute. You can say if it's a liquid millimole per liter, molecular level, if we go to the molecular level, we can write this as millimole per liter. M millimole per liter divided by time, minute. Minute or second. Minute is a larger unit. It can be per second. Per sec. Now this is the rate. Now this much alone, okay. Now in this alone, before I go to the next one, structure. Now another point you should know. This is actually E. This is the last point. Number of the points. A, B, C, D, E. I hope you follow what it is. the next point about this F. G is the starting material. Starting substances should be in an optimum level. All these chemicals are in optimum level in your body. Chemical in a healthy body or in optimum level. That is the amount of glucose in your body, amino acids in your body, or fat in your body, all the minerals and everything, calcium, potassium, any form of fat or glucose level, they should be in an optimum level in your blood for a normal body. Level in blood. If it is not undergoing complete chemical changes, the amount of level will increase. Or if it is a wrong chemical changes, the amount of level will be decreasing. Instead of producing the final amount, unwanted intermediary product must accumulate. All these are the unhealthy condition of a body. A healthy body must have all these chemicals in an optimum level. Any chemical, in fact, and any biomolecules, all the chemicals in the living body. That's what you mean by the blood analysis you do. A fat lipid profile. They say lipid profile. If you have gone through a medical report, in the lab report, lipid profile they'll give you. In that, all the triglyceride, cholesterol, and urine profile, the urea, uric acid, and the bilirubin, bilirubin, any chemical in your body, they are basically nothing but these chemicals only. Carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen chemical only. Either it is made up of the simpler form of the carbohydrate, or protein, or fat, a combination of these two. That's all. Basically, they are, see, however complicated the chemical is, basically, if you analyze, the four major atoms are carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen. That's it. Alright. So now, these chemicals should be in an optimal level in a healthy body. If this optimal level joules increases or decreases, both the way it is abnormal. They follow. So now this metabolism, this is called the metabolism. Alright, in a steady living state of a body, the body should have a certain amount of chemicals in the blood should be as constant, and this level increases or decreases due to the chemical change. That chemical change is called metabolism. That could be anabolism or catabolism. This has got a definite pathway, and the intermediate products are formed. The definite pathway, step by step. Now it is serial. It is in a form of a serial. Serial means what? It is in a series, one after the other. So during the series, intermediate products are formed. The intermediate product should be converted to the final product. Otherwise, the accumulation of the intermediate product will produce harmful condition. The harmful condition can be rectifiable, curable, or incurable. Rectifiable, you cannot cure diabetes. It's only rectified means you can, to some extent, you can keep it in a lower control, under your control. It can be rectifiable or under control, or it cannot be curable. Now, the end product is produces energy. What is the use of this chemical change? End product is energy. Energy you need for your physical, voluntary and involuntary activities of the living body. Now, these voluntary and involuntary activities, the energy, excess of energy is stored. The storage of energy, only you call that as in the form of energy gas, that is ATP. Do you understand that? So, this is what about the metabolism of the biomolecules, chemical aspect of the biomolecules. Now, this is in your second part of the lesson you will come across. Now, thirdly, attached to the metabolism, first part is the physical property of the biomolecules, macromolecules. That is completely structure, polymer, formation of the... One second. One second, student. Excuse me, can you call them? So these biomolecules, and along with the metabolism, what you go to the third part of the lesson, because metabolism needs a biocatalyst to speak. That is, the rate of reaction is important. The rate of change. The rate of reaction means how will you calculate the rate of change? Then amount of the end product you have divided by the time taken. Why? Because now the energy supply should be constant to do a particular function. All these are what you mean by chat and the doubts, is it?
They just good morning.
Okay, but no doubt clarification. It's clear. Now, this leads you to the end part of your lesson. That's about enzyme. The enzymes, so because the rate is necessary speed, suppose you want to perform a work, you need certain amount of energy to complete the work. And when you are not able to do the work, what means you are tired out. Now that means what? Energy production is not there. So the energy you can use your stored energy to some extent, but you have to keep on. You cannot be using up all your bank cash. Now you'll become a bankrupt. So automatically it should be filled in. So the chemical, so what you do, you give a break for all the chemical reaction. You rest. That's what you mean the chemical reaction. Now the resting means what you do, you fill up yourself the raw material back again. So the whole living body is actually it's a beautiful machine. If you learn it instead of the textual point of view, admire your machine how it works, you will know how to keep up your machine in a healthy manner, not overtaxing it or misusing it. Default. So now that leads you to the third part of your lesson, that is enzyme. How does the enzyme comes out? The rate of reaction is controlled by the biochem. That's why to keep up the rate in the constant level, you add catalyst. So we cannot add catalyst into each and every cell. The biocatalyst. The chemicals which will enhance the reaction is called biocatalyst. What are mainly biocatalysts? Nothing but enzymes. So what are enzymes? Nothing but proteins. So the third part of your lesson in this lesson, suddenly they'll switch over from the structural part. You should understand the entire chapter. The entire chapter, biomolecules, first defines what is biomolecule. Why is it called biomolecule? Then why is it called macromolecule? Then this macromolecule, structural part of the macromolecule, and the uses of chemical part of the macromolecules, being chemistry, physical property, chemical property. The chemical property, you're more than learning the property of the monomers. Yeah, the chemical reactions. Why do you need it? So that leads you to the another set of it, chemical nature of this polymer. The chemical nature of this molecules is a metabolism. What is metabolism? Chemical change. All these points I have explained about the chemical change, one leading to the other, leading to the other. That is the macromolecules undergo chemical change. It can be constructive or destructive. It has got a definite pathway. It is a series of pathway, and in the series, if it goes on in a proper manner, end product. If it is blocked up as an intermediate product, these intermediate product can be harmless or harmful. Harmless means we can send it out, excrete it out. That's why it's called excretion, not digestion. The definition between digestion and excretion, you have to be very careful. I told in I'm doing the digestive system, so I explained you should not use the word the undigested matter is excreted out from your large intestine. It is not excreted or ingested out. Because the food which you eat is broken down and into a molecular size smaller, which is unabsorbable. It could not be mixed with your blood. That's why you send it out. So it does not get any chemical change in your digestive system. Chemical change occurs in your respiratory system. Citric acid cycle, glycolysis. There only chemical reaction occurs. That goes to the respiratory system. So sending out the undigested, unabsorbed waste matter is called egestion. Don't use the word excretion. But when you come to the this one, kidney and the related organ, they send out the excretory product. What are they? Proteinaceous nitrogenous waste. What are nitrogenous waste? What do you mean by nitrogenous waste? Waste containing chemical nitrogen, element nitrogen. Now, how does this come? The major macromolecule, biomolecule, which contains nitrogen, amino acid. What it is from protein. So it is called protein metabolism only. You call that as a nitrogenous waste produced from the protein metabolism. Understand? Nitrogenous waste means it is not a waste or the chemical product from the carbohydrate. It's a chemical end product or end product of a waste which you cannot be used by your body because you know very well the substances which are not used but it's harmless, it is excreted out. Same as carbon dioxide. Now, what is the byproduct from carbohydrate? Carbohydrate will give you CO2 and H2O. What is carbohydrate? Hydrated carbon. Carbonated hydroxyl methane or aldehyde. Methyl group or keto or aldehyde. Carbohydrate, you must remember carbohydrate. We'll come to the structure, then I'll explain to you. Now, chemical property will stick on to that. Okay. So, now this is the second part of your lesson. First part, if you turn your textbook or your lesson, first he'll explain all the polymer, monomer, monosaccharide, polysaccharide, and all the peptides, triglyceride, one section over. Before you go to the one section, you will start with the monomer. You will learn about the polymer, different types of polymers of the three monomer. All the three macromolecules will have the polymer as well as the monomer. And first we'll start with the monomer of carbohydrate. We'll see then the monomer, different monomers of protein and monomer of fat, and then the polymer. That finishes a structural part of the macromolecule. Functional part of the macromolecule is it leads a chemical reaction, then it will become an end product. These macromolecules should be definite optimum level. This is very important for a normal body. Everything should be in an optimum level. If it is not there, it's not an abnormal individual. It's not a normal healthy body. Now, when this level, particularly when will this level decrease or increase? After the age of 40, 45, 35. Nowadays, children are they are very weak. Even in the age of 25 itself, you become a sickly person. Sometimes the inborn disease they will be born with that. Even a child born child can have a diabetes. That is a function. That is genetic disorder. That is it is inheriting at birth. That's called congenital disorder. The defects which you inherit, the defect which you have from the birth is called congenital disorders. You follow? Now, some can be acquired after you are born. Say, I am born without any defect, but I am getting into my life course of life, different diet and all the activities, physical activities, and all the thing, and all the different habits picks up at the age of 30, 35. There is a jolt in the optimum level. That is why people above 35 always undergo the medical checkup. That they'll say you're become diabetic, and they'll say all sorts of defects, osteoporosis, your bone is becoming weak, your calcium deposition less, and they'll become mentally, they are becoming the mental deformities, nervous defects, all these defects will prop up only after the age of 35. Till 30, 35, 35 till 40, God has given you a very good healthy, He created normally in an optimum level. Your duty is to maintain the sanity level properly. If you do something to jolt it, it will tolerate for some time. Till you reach the age of 35, your body will tolerate. Adjust. Beyond that, say you go to hell, I cannot be bothered. You don't want to maintain myself, you reap the result. So the jolting comes only after the age of 35, 40. All this optimum, so these macromolecules, particularly when they enter the chemical change, all the starting substances that like glucose or amino acid or fat in your body. In matter of fact, everything, all the minerals, sodium, potassium, calcium, you know very well, all these are involved in your body. Calcium is necessary for the blood formation. Sodium and potassium, major ions for the transport of neurotransmitters. They are neurotransmitters. Bicarbonate, the some are even negative ions or bicarbonate ions are as a buffer. So you have to maintain the pH of your body, ionic balance of your body, and all these things are now you are not taking an effort. By nature, you are gifted by God when you are created to have an optimum level. He never creates unless it's in congenital defects. That the defect is not in the child, it's the defect is in belongs to the parent or grandparents. The child doesn't do anything. It doesn't tell you, God, I want to be a deformed person in the world. But this is the result reap of your parents and the grandparents. Why the parents? They haven't kept the body steady. They may focus their hand to the grandparents. Grandparents, it goes on. But whatever it is, the optimum level in the normal human body, now your body, this metabolic, this macromolecules level should be in optimum because they undergo chemical reaction to produce energy. Without energy, my body is a cadaver. See, coma, neural tissue is completely out. But your heartbeat will be there, your respiration rhythm will be there, your digestion, oral feeding will be there, but no sensation. So coma, they cannot say it's a cadaver or a dead body. When there's no activity, what happens? I'm a dead body. So the metabolism is the one which keeps you alive. Is one of the character of the living organism. That involves so much of steps. So why am I telling you? When you reach the age of 45, 30, be careful to remember what you have learned. So I should not jolt my body beyond that. It cannot tolerate my nonsense. You follow that? Now, third part of a lesson, what will do? Catalyst. That is about your enzymes. So last part of a lesson, you will completely, it is very simple. If they are protein, how does the enzyme act? How the nature of what are the factors which affect the activities of the enzyme? How will you name the enzyme? Now, this already has studied a set of enzymes in your enzymes are a different category. Enzyme means don't think only in the digestive system you have got enzyme. You have got respiratory enzyme. Now, enzymes are present or nothing but biocatalysts, which speeds up the reaction. That's all. Enzyme means you should not think only in the digestive system, fat digesting, carbohydrate digesting enzyme. Not only that, you have got respiratory and glycolysis. Any chemical reaction needs an enzyme. Now, that is why they have got a common, the enzymes can be named in two ways. If you remember, hydrolases, oxidases, reductases, phosphorylases, ASE means an enzyme. So any chemical reaction, citric acid cycle, if you have studied 9 steps are there, each step the side, if you have read it properly in detail, you'll say hydrolases, phosphorylases, dephosphorylases, hydrases, oxidases, reductases, reductases. The ASE means it brings about the chemical reaction. So for the enzymes are not only digestive enzymes, you have got enzymes in the chemical reaction also, enzymes are involved. That leads to your genetics. Each enzyme is produced controlled by a gene. And now that gene is called, you will study in genetics, that's a one gene, one enzyme theory. That's called one gene. I'll write here, I'm sorry. That is a theory called one gene, one enzyme. You should have known that. One enzyme hypothesis. One enzyme hypothesis, enzyme. This was stated by Jacob and Monod. Jacob and Monod. Monod. One gene, one enzyme theory. You will study gene action in metabolism. The metabolism, how the end of the genetics chapter. You will come across this. Operator gene, the gate, how the lac operon. We will study under the system lac operon in genetics that. So one lead into the other, basic thing you understand first. So last part of the lesson we are going to the, so now where am I? Macromolecules, they are polymers. So naturally they are made up of monomers. This is a physical property of the macromolecule. Chemical property, they undergo chemical reaction. So another name of the macromolecules are metabolites. So because of all these things, they are called metabolites. Metabolites. Primary metabolites. All the macromolecules are called the primary metabolites. With the metabolites, all these facts are connected. That you will end with the put a full stop with the enzyme. In the chapter, it can go on biological thing. Okay, biochemistry is very interesting actually when you study. But you must have a flag to cram all the intermediate products, the name of the products, and the enzymes in between. Yeah, flag for it is nothing. Like biochemistry itself is such a complete. You need not become a doctor every time. Yeah, biochemistry needs more. That is what you are involving on your biotechnology comes from here only. That's only leading now. All your vaccine, they are struggling to get a vaccine for COVID. Why? Basic is our biochemistry. Do you understand? So, second part which you should remember, all these macromolecules are known as the primary metabolites. Alright? Why are they called primary metabolites? All these reactions. Now they are the metabolites. First you start that they should be in a proper optimum level in the blood. This optimal level should be maintained. Secondly, these metabolites, these chemicals are undergoing constructive and destructive change, and that change has to be enhanced by the enzyme, catalyst, and that has got a definite pathway, intermediate product, final product. If the metabolites are not undergoing chemical reaction, you won't have energy, they'll be accumulating in your blood. As it is, what's the use of that? If you have a cash in the bank alone, storing, you have to use the storage to buy something, or invest something in a business or a land or a building. Otherwise, it will be just it is in your locked up in your one day the bank might go off, so the entire cash is lost. So if I don't use the metabolite, I may die. Then in that case, what's the use of the metabolite? Even if I use the metabolite, I can do some activity like I can speak or walk or do some work. You understand that? So that's what we call as a cabbage. Cabbage means useless. Useless a cabbage means you're not utilizing what you have. Do you understand that? Now that is the second part of the primary metabolite. Now I'm going to introduce another word, secondary metabolites. Now what is meant by secondary metabolites? See, in plants, particularly in our body, there is no secondary metabolite. The second in plant, there are substances produced in the plant body which are now used to them. And it is yeah, practically it is no in a sense. It might give them a defense mechanism or a specialty. Suppose a plant is there, it produces a perfume, then we would like to prefer that plant that is giving you the oil. But that oil does not, in any manner, the metabolic manner helps the plant. But it is useful for the consumer. Who is the consumer? On nothing but we are the big parasites on the plant. So we consume. So it is of social importance, such as, say, for example, rubber, latex, gum, resin, plant oil, cinnamon oil, turpentine oil, and medicines, the cinchona, the quinine. Quinine is a medicine for malaria. Where is it extracted from? The bark of the cinchona tree. So most of the medicines, then aromatic substances, scents and perfumes, which we use. And all these are called secondary metabolites. Now, secondary metabolites are used only not for the producer, that's a plant, but it's mostly used by, to some extent, it can help the plant but not chemically producing the energy or survival of the plant. It's not necessary, but it is not necessary for her. But we cannot say it's not necessary completely for ourselves, because all the medicines which are extracted in the plant, now that's what you are based in Ayurvedic medicine and Siddha medicines. That is totally plant products only. Now the plant extracts not only produced by the plant body itself is used to produce some chemicals, but that is a different one. These are substances produced by the plant, which is not of use to them but to the human race. And so it has got a social implication, not actually getting into a biological part of a body. Now that's what the two definitions. What are now let me finish it. Now we finish. I gave you only introduction before going into the physical part of your macromolecules, structure of the macro. Now let's go to our Neet. How can I ask you the questions? Now very simple. I can give you a list of simple one. Secondary metabolites it is. I'll give a list. Pick out which is not a secondary metabolite. I may give you gum, resin, latex, perfumes, any four, and add one more in between. It can be a carbohydrate or glucose. In and be carbohydrate, I can just muddle up. I can add glucose into it, or I can add one amino acid name into it. So if I write protein, you will easily find out. See, people won't give you so easily direct questions. That is what Neet. Otherwise, it'll be done by like 700, 600 questions. Yeah, is your capacity. So when you see the second, you know very well, gum, resin, latex, oil, perfume, scents, whatever the plant product which is you are using socially outside, can be secondary metabolite. But when you are talking about eating the fruit of the plant, that will get be a primary metabolite. It will give you glucose or protein or fat. They are also plant product only, no. Carbohydrates from the starchy plant, starch from the plants. Pulses, proteins, main source of protein is pulses. That's also plant product. But the product can be a secondary metabolite when it is not used for our metabolism or for the plant. It is a social implication it has got. So first question, simplest question, I can word three secondary metabolites I can put, and one glucose I'll write. I won't write carbohydrate. Or I may give one amino acid name, which is a common amino acid name, and pick out. That's one question. Simple. Next, you can frame your own question. In the secondary primary metabolite, next question can I say, see the products which are of ecological importance, not for physiological importance in the plant world are known as secondary metabolite, primary metabolite, metabolic product, or polymers. Any technical term. It is direct. My question is, the products which are of more ecological importance to the human, not of the biological importance, biological or metabolic importance. Social is different, biological, ecological importance, and not the biological importance in the human race. Pick out. Now, which statement? Pick out the thing means they can give it as a statement or as a multiple choice. I will write in the choice options secondary metabolites, primary metabolites. Okay, now then I will say next one carbohydrates or any other chemical compound, a compound name or none of them. One option. When they can't put a option correctly, you will find invariably none of them or all of them. That's one way of setting the multiple choice. You have to use your brain still, and you all are big children of this age. So whenever there is a statement that means they couldn't get a connected alternative. So to close that, I say all of them or none of them. Easy way of one option. All right. So if I give an option, what is the option? It will be ecological importance. Secondary metabolic. You must click one word with the other your answer. Always don't try to read vaguely. When you read the multiple choice, first method how you approach, eliminate the absurd ones. 4 options are given, which are abruptly, you can make out abruptly opposite. Cut it out. So you will be left with only 2 choices. Only 2 possibilities. If you are, then reason out. Find out some click in the word. You still cannot. You still want to attempt risking your negative score. Inky pinky monkey donkey. Nobody can help it. You have to try your luck. But you are a sensible child, you won't lose your mark. And why you lose a score which you have already got? Because you know it will meet your got a negative scoring. So don't commit yourself when you come across like that. Always, every question, read the options thoroughly. Then you know absurdly wrong. You should know absurdly wrong because you should know what the correct answer is. You know the matter, then only you can pick out which is absolutely wrong. If you feel it is absolutely wrong or disconnected statement, just don't take that into head. So you'll be left out with only two options. Read those options repeatedly and then reason out. Recollect where it comes, how it is connected. It could be correct. So in that case, the only reasoning. Then you will, how to reason, you see the term in the textbook, which will be correlating, which will be related to the answer which you are doubtful in your head. If it is still not, you have to try your luck. If you are a sensible child, instead of trying your luck, you will avoid it to avoid the negative score. Understood? So now, second question can be there. Or simply I can give you ecologically important substances are peacock, grass oil, cinnamon oil. Alright? Now cinnamon oil is an oil product, grass oil is oil product, secondary metabolic. Because it is oil, don't simply think you can drink the cinnamon oil or grass oil. It is still haven't come as a primary metabolite. Grass oil. Rubber, if I give you, you can easily find out. Something which is shady only they'll give you. Then fatty acids, glycerides. All right. Pick out the secondary metabolite or ecological importance for that. A biological it's only juggling of words here. You should have a good command in your language. Ecological importance, biologically non-important, same meaning. And ecologically another one, secondary metabolite. All the three, ecological important, secondary metabolite, biological important. Three are related with one another. So my question is, now pick out which is a ecologically important substance. There, grass oil, only oil. Then I will let linseed oil, or I will say palmitic, or the hydrocarbon, higher triglycerides, fatty acids, or some other oil name, gingerly oil. All the oils I will put up so that you will get mixed up. Coconut oil is essential. Lack of this lipid in your body will lead to dry skin. That leads to other fats also is necessary, particularly the plant oil, primary oils, which are such as your coconut oil, gingerly oil, are necessary for your body functioning. So they will give you grass oil, cinnamon oil. Instead of cinnamon, or you might muddle up with the cinnamon oil. Okay, then you have got the coconut oil, gingerly oil, and one more oil. All the above. I'm not thinking of an oil, so I said all the above. Over. So you should know gingerly oil and coconut are essential fatty oils in your body. It is needed by your body. Cinnamon and grass oil are the plant product secondary metabolites. So you have to mark that. So you can make the question direct, you can make the question to think. That is about the primary and secondary metabolites. Now primary metabolites alone. The primary metabolites are the following characters. Okay, they have why are they called primary metabolites? They have a definite role to play in energy production. I'm giving you three options. The primary metabolites, which are the option statements are correct and incorrect. Primary metabolites have definite metabolic pathway. They're essential for energy production. Okay. Now they utilize biocatalyst. I'm not telling enzyme. They utilize biocatalyst. And one more statement, which is absolutely they are harmful. They undergo the chemical reactions or they are harmful. Sometimes all the four statements will be correct. Now, regarding the primary metabolites, I can give you statement question because all these points are about the metabolites, metabolism. So, primary metabolites, pick out the correct statement or wrong statement. Four options. All the four may be correct. Three may be correct. The last will be all the four. Suppose they will give you all the four correct. Options will be given A and D or C and B or A, B, C, D. Like that. Alphabetically, they can give A, B, C, D, and which are the correct A and C alone. You know very well how the options are given. A and D alone or A, B, C and D. These are the ways they model up the students. You have to read carefully. Very, very important is to analyze the question first before you attempt it. So now they can give you A, B, C, D. All the four statements are correct, but I won't say A to D. You'll easily find out. So I will write option, one of the option A and B. It's not correct. A and B, not correct. A and C, not correct. Another last option I will give you A, B, C and D. You may leave the D. So you'll be stuck up. Option 4. So option 4 is all the 4, option 3 or something you'll be racking ahead. So you read whenever the correct statement questions, they are not going very tricky or statement questions, mostly very direct only. So incorrect statement and correct statement. So correct statement, suppose I want to say primary metabolite, which is the incorrect statement regarding the primary metabolite, I'll give 3 or 2 wrong right statement, 2 wrong statements. How can I give you 2 right statements? They have a definite metabolic pathway. Instead of telling definite metabolic, I can put a little bit indirect. They have a definite chemical pathway in the body. That means what? Metabolism. One correct answer. The second correct answer, they are uncontrollable chemical reactions. Inorganic. Now, second reaction, the inorganic molecules involved in the chemical reaction. There are no inorganic molecules involved, organic molecules are involved. So that's a wrong statement, you know that. Third statement I'll say, and they have a definite rate of reaction. Definitely, they have a the definite path. They have a definite end product and intermediate product. That's a correct statement. Or they finally produce energy. Another correct statement. Like all the why did I explain all this? These are the facts related to the metabolism. So these facts can be changed. And the last statement they can write, they utilize inorganic catalyst. You leave that in and you will think of organic. Reading is very, very essential. So they need an inorganic catalyst means what came in a 4K2CO, potassium dichromate, permanganate, all these are zinc granules, sometimes zinc. Now molybdenum, ammonia preparation, you know very well molybdenum is used. So the chemical reactions, whatever intermediate, the catalyst which is a few. Nothing if you remember, at least KMnO4 KCl grape, MnO2, potassium permanganate and manganese dioxide are used as a catalyst, you know that. So now they may ask you, they involve inorganic catalyst. They involve organic catalyst. Statement questions take time and read it. See, regarding that simple word primary metabolite, I can put up 2-3 statement questions for you. Just write the number and ask it to pick out which is the primary metabolite. Then something about the character of the metabolism and say which is the character of the primary metabolites. Alright, so or I can give you organic matter. Among this, pick up which are the primary metabolites, which are not. Primary metabolite, they will mix up with the secondary. Secondary metabolite means think of all the perfumes, plant oil, cinnamon, rubber, latex. All these are secondary metabolites. Plant products, gum, resin. Certain medicines extracted from them. It is a secondary metabolite. So it is not, we are extracting cinchona, quinine from the plant, but we don't treat a plant with the quinine. Only I am treated with the quinine if I have a malaria. So the oils extracted, the chemicals extracted are not useful to the plant, which is useful to us, either for ecological purpose or for the other curing. We can make use of it. Not as a, what is the difference? When I make use of it, why can't you consider it as a metabolite? It is not in my body undergoing any chemical reaction. If I eat quinine or medicines, antibiotics is produced by the plant. But antibiotics cannot be a primary metabolite for me. Why? Antibiotic is not blocking my cell. Antibiotic is blocking the bacteria which is killing me, which has entered into my body. The antibiotic is business is to eradicate the virus which is a pathogen which is entering in my body. It is not involving getting into my cell undergoing the chemical change. You understand? Antibiotics are product produced by the plant. You can consider antibiotics as a secondary metabolite. Why? These antibiotics are affecting the chemical, the pathway by blocking the which is hindered by the pathogen. Pathogen does block all the pathway. That's why your normal suppose you get a fever, in your fever you cannot digest, you're vomiting, body temperature, pH, temperature, body temperature is jolted, a pH level is increased, jolted, and ionic level changes, or glucose level changes, or your chemical reaction, energy, you're not able to produce energy. Why? The chemical reaction is blocked somewhere. Maybe the virus and the bacteria is blocking the pathway. So you are removing the block. That is the business of antibiotic. But antibiotics are not metabolites. They do not undergo chemical streptomycin, auramycin, or whatever penicillin, whichever chemical which you are taking, they do not get broken up in the body and produce energy for you. So they cannot be considered as a primary metabolite. So you have to watch out when you read the questions in the Neet. They won't be so direct, the questions will be. And then it will be like any 800, 600 also can, 900 also can write the NEET exam. No? You have to think. Right? So these two words is I showed you how I can give you statement questions, I can give you direct questions, even match the following. It's very simple. Now another way, how to get out in the match the following, A section, B section, A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3. Now you don't know all the ABCD. ABCD you may be familiar, 1, 2, 3 may know. Other section you may not be familiar. The first when you do the match following, you take one of the option in the column A. Particularly animal kingdom. You go to it will be there. Now suppose in this, I am giving you say antibiotic. One side I have given this one carbohydrate protein or glucose amino acids and gum antibiotic. I'm not giving an order. Okay, glucose, gum, and antibiotic and protein. Mixing it up again. On the other side, only two options I can give you. Either two, how the wording will be secondary metabolite, ecological secondary metabolite. Okay, ecological importance is understood. There are two secondary metabolites I have given. Antibiotics I have given. Gum and resin I have given. Two secondary metabolite, two primary metabolites. Then you have to pick up A, B, C, D. In that, you take one which you know A is fitting into C. Yeah, sure, keep it. Then you go to the second one, any option on the column A, and search for the other one. Suppose two of them you have fixed, keep that in your mind. Then go to the option. Options are given A, B, C, D. Column A, 1 to 1 is equal to 1 is A. It will be given A, B, C, D. First option is below A1, like that only. You know very well how the master following options are given. So you have fixed A with 3. See, 3 in your 3 options where A is written as 3. Keep it in your hand. And another option also A must start with 3. So pick up with the B suits the Arabic letter. Check for B. So if 2 are automatically fixed, automatically the other 2 will change. Match the following if it is not there, right? You are not able to fix it up. Fix first fellow which you know, first 2 people which are first 2 items which you are sure. Then automatically the other 2 will fix. So we can make the match the following also. In this, there is invariably we have asked the question rate. The rate of metabolic rate is equal to product per time. Product millimole. That unit will be millimole per liter or time can be second or minute. That's for all the rate business, heart rate, blood rate, sugar, blood glucose level. All these are rates. Filtration rate, glomerular filtration rate. You have got the heart pulse rate, cardiac output volume only it will come, BP, sugar level. All these are the few rates in your physiology, human physiology. So when the rate comes, the rate also they have asked. The product per unit time. So that they can ask you multiple question. And biocatalyst, very important. Enzyme. Pick out the biocatalyst. That's very easy question. Very nice question. Actually, pick out the biocatalyst. I will give you, you know very well, there are protein and non-protein part in enzyme. That you call that as you could have studied ionic transport in a photosynthesis, ionic carriers, quinine, ubiquinone, paradoxin, and the transport chain in the case of the photosynthetic autophosphorylation, you will come across a number of ionic carriers, ion chain. And similarly, in citric acid cycle, when it occurs between the inner and outer membrane of the mitochondria, you got ionic transport, ubiquinone, C1, C2. Now, see these ionic transport, they will give you enzyme, biocatalyst option. You can multiply variously. I can twist you. I can just write the name enzyme alone, or I can give a particular enzyme name. How will you fix up enzyme name? Invariably, the word ends with the word ASC is an enzyme. Fix it up in your head. They may not directly give the word enterokinase, lipase, protease, cytokinase, elastase, ASC. It need not be always your digestive enzyme, dephosphorylase. ASC means enzyme, remember that. So the biocatalysts are, pick out the biocatalysts among that. They'll give you one directly hydrolases. You will be thinking what? Enzyme means there should be lipase there. protease there, or some immediately your head will go to the digestion. Keep your head open. Enzyme now, what you must think? ASC. Ending. Pick out, remember that. Another one, they'll give you zinc ion. Because they act as a cofactor. For activating the enzyme, you need zinc and heme is a cofactor. Okay? Then, all the vitamins are used as a cofactor for vitamin. Citric acid, vitamins are used as a cofactors. Vitamin K is necessary for the formation of fibrinogen in the liver, blood clotting. So they may give you vitamin K or they can give you amino acid name. Amino acid of C is a citric acid, folic acid, vitamin K, pantothenic acid, or any one of the amino acid. They won't say vitamin, they'll give an amino acid name. See, pick out the biocatalyst, hydrolases, zinc ion. Okay, I want an absurd answer, zinc ion. It cannot be a biocatalyst. It can be biocatalyst means what you will know? It should increase the rate of reaction. In inorganic chemistry, what you'll do? How will you increase the rate of chemical reaction? By adding catalyst, or by increasing or decreasing the temperature, or by altering pressure. Now, these three, you know very well, factors affecting the chemical reaction. That's 7th standard portion. A number of factors, last only catalyst will give. Physical condition of the substrate, whether it's a solid or powder, temperature, pressure, major conditions. And the next one is temperature, pressure will come, temperature will come. Temperature is exothermic and the pressure. Okay. And lastly, only will be catalyst. So now I'm giving, pick out the biocatalyst. Alright, under the biocatalyst, what you must know? It should be enzyme. 1 minute. How will you pick up an enzyme? The name should end as ASC. I'm not giving you directly an enzyme name. I'm not giving lipase. I'm giving hydrolases or dehydrogenases. That means what? Removing the water. What you are bothered about? ASC. Don't block your mind with one idea. Then zinc ion, absolutely wrong. No, zinc will be a catalyst, biocatalyst. Then you can give an amino acid name because all the vitamins are amino acids or none of them. If I can't find an alteration, all of them are none of them. Over. So you can make out completely, though it is not a particular enzyme name, it's a hydrolases. Why? Enzymes are named after their chemical reaction they bring about. Whether they add water or remove water, add hydrogen, remove hydrogen, add dephosphorylation, phosphorylation, hydrogenation, dehydrogenation, hydrolysis and dehydrolysis, oxidases or redoxidases, or reductases, or oxoreductases. So the enzymes will be named along with their function also. So you should look out only for ASC. Okay, I'll see you next class. Thank you. See you. Bye.